Nite Owl I. Watchmen is one of the most important and influential comics ever created. It revolutionized the superhero genre by deconstructing the myth of the American superhero and proving the artistic and literary potential of comics. The story follows the Crime Busters, a group of superheroes who came after the Minutemen. However, their time was short-lived due to the Keene Act, which banned any non-government-sanctioned superheroes. Hollis T. Mason, the first Nite Owl, began his crime-fighting career after leaving the New York City Police Department. His journey into vigilantism represented the idealism of the golden age of comics, where heroes were often straightforward and morally driven. Nite Owl, much like the characters of his time, fought for justice with a clear sense of right and wrong, adopting a heroic persona that reflected a simpler world. His approach was a bit naive, overlooking many complexities of human behavior and justice. Mason's fighting style was rooted in his background as a boxer, utilizing a powerful right hook to subdue criminals. As he aged, he remained a formidable opponent, managing to fend off the violent Knot Tops gang before they overwhelmed him. His costume evolved over time, abandoning a cape for a more practical design that included protective leather and chainmail. Despite his nostalgia for an earlier era, Hollis Mason's Nite Owl paved the way for a new generation of crime fighters. Nite Owl II. Daniel M. Dryberg, the second Nite Owl, took up the mantle from Hollis Mason and became a key member of the next wave of costumed heroes. As a brilliant engineer with a vast inheritance, Dryberg crafted an array of high-tech gadgets and vehicles to aid in his crime-fighting efforts, most notably his iconic Owl ship, a sophisticated aircraft capable of navigating through New York's skyline. His intellect set him apart, with 2 degrees from Harvard and a deep knowledge of mechanics and technology. Unlike the idealistic heroes of the past, Dryberg struggled with a crisis of faith, often questioning the impact of his vigilante efforts. Despite this, he never fully abandoned his role as Nite Owl, returning to the streets in times of need. His skills extended beyond technology, as he was also a skilled martial artist and a tactical combatant. Dryberg's innovations, such as his night vision goggles and various suits tailored for different environments, made him one of the most advanced heroes of his time. Silk Spectre II. Lori Juspecic, better known as Silk Spectre II, follows in the footsteps of her mother, Sally Jupiter, the original Silk Spectre. Although Lori initially resists her role as a costumed vigilante, she becomes a skilled fighter, trained from a young age in martial arts and gymnastics. Her abilities allowed her to take on multiple opponents at once, and her agility and balance were unmatched. Silk Spectre II was a reflection of the changing perception of female superheroes. While still tied to some outdated stereotypes, she was far from helpless. Lori demonstrated her strength and independence, wielding firearms and holding her own in combat against powerful foes like Ozymandias. Her story in Watchmen highlighted the human side of heroism, as she grappled with her identity and her complicated relationship with her mother. Despite the emotional and psychological challenges she faced, Lori emerged as one of the few truly grounded characters in the narrative, embodying resilience and strength. Rorschach. Walter Kovacs, better known as Rorschach, is one of the most feared and unpredictable vigilantes in Watchmen. Raised in an abusive environment, Kovacs developed a deeply pessimistic worldview, seeing society in stark black and white terms. His crime-fighting methods were brutal and uncompromising, often crossing the line into violence and ruthlessness. Kovacs adopted his iconic inkblot mask, symbolizing his rigid, binary view of morality. Rorschach's physical prowess was formidable. He excelled in boxing and gymnastics, which made him a formidable opponent. His mental instability contributed to his extreme tolerance for pain and discomfort, even enduring freezing Antarctic temperatures without complaint. Rorschach's investigative skills were exceptional, often piecing together clues that others missed, although his paranoia sometimes led him to incorrect conclusions. His resourcefulness allowed him to turn ordinary objects into weapons, making him an unpredictable force in combat. Despite his many flaws, Rorschach's uncompromising nature and relentless pursuit of justice made him a central figure in the world of Watchmen. Ozymandias. Adrian Alexander Veidt, known as Ozymandias, is a former costumed adventurer and billionaire industrialist who drew inspiration from Alexander the Great and Ramses II. Adopting his code name from the famous poem about the Egyptian pharaoh, revered as the world's smartest man, Veidt's intelligence allowed him to build a global empire from nothing, mastering science, genetics, and engineering. He created genetically altered creatures like his pet Bubastis, and even cloned a psychic brain to mutate into a giant squid-like being. His strategic brilliance enabled him to manipulate global events, orchestrating peace between the United States and the Soviet Union while maintaining a facade of philanthropy. Physically, Veidt was in peak human condition, capable of catching bullets, dodging gunfire, and lifting men as large as the comedian with ease. His combat skills made him a formidable martial artist, able to defeat Rorschach and Nite Owl II effortlessly. His agility and reflexes were so advanced they bordered on superhuman. Multilingual and a master businessman, Veidt used his wealth to fund both legitimate and covert activities, establishing his global influence. Despite his brilliance, Veidt's detachment from humanity and egotistical pursuit of utopia led him down a morally questionable path, mirroring the downfall of the ancient empire he named himself after. Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Jonathan John Osterman was once a nuclear physicist until a freak accident in a radioactive particle test chamber disintegrated him at the atomic level. Slowly, he reconstructed himself, piece by piece, re-emerging as Dr. Manhattan, a godlike being with near unlimited power. Initially serving as a U.S. government weapon, he helped America win the Vietnam War and played a role in the Cold War, but his growing detachment from humanity led him to abandon Earth for Mars. He briefly returned to prevent Adrian Veidt's mass deception but ultimately failed, retreating into the cosmos to seek meaning beyond human existence. Dr. Manhattan perceives time in a non-linear fashion, seeing past, present, and future simultaneously. He possesses cosmic awareness, allowing him to view alternate realities and even alternate timelines. His abilities include molecular reconstruction, energy projection, disintegration, and teleportation, making him virtually invulnerable. He can manipulate matter on a subatomic level, create force fields, and even phase through solid objects. His telekinesis and superhuman strength allow him to move mountains or crush enemies with ease. Unbound by laws of physics, he can grow to immense sizes, split into multiple copies, or disappear entirely. Over time, his power expanded beyond Earth, giving him the ability to create life and shape entire universes, making him one of the most powerful beings in existence. Comedian. Edward Morgan Eddie Blake, known as the Comedian, was a brutal yet effective masked vigilante and paramilitary operative. A founding member of the Minutemen in the 1940s and later the Crime Busters, he served as a government-sanctioned agent for 45 years. The U.S. government crafted his image into that of a patriotic symbol of war and victory, but beneath the facade, Blake was a ruthless cynic who viewed life as a cruel joke. Unlike traditional heroes, he embraced the world's darkness, making him one of the most infamous anti-heroes of his time. Blake possessed peak human strength, speed, and stamina, which he maintained well into his later years. His hand-to-hand combat skills were unmatched, and his extensive experience in warfare, espionage, and assassination made him a deadly force. He fought in multiple wars, including World War II and Vietnam, showing no mercy for his enemies. A master marksman, he wielded a wide range of weaponry, from high-caliber rifles to flamethrowers. Despite his lack of formal education, Blake had keen detective skills, uncovering Ozymandias' conspiracy before anyone else. His arsenal included leather body armor, 45 pistols, knives, and tear gas grenades, tools that cemented his reputation as a lethal enforcer. Silk Spectre I. Sally Jupiter, the original Silk Spectre, was one of the most famous costumed adventurers of her time. A member of the Minutemen, she built a career on her glamorous public image, though behind the scenes her life was far more complicated. Even after suffering a brutal assault at the hands of the Comedian, she maintains complex feelings for him, ultimately giving birth to their daughter, Lori Jaspecic. This tangled history played a crucial role in Watchmen's events, as Lori later became Silk Spectre II and Dr. Manhattan's partner. Without Sally's flawed yet deeply human choices, Manhattan may never have confronted Ozymandias or questioned his detachment from humanity. Though not the most skilled combatant, Sally's real strength lay in her sharp instincts and ability to navigate the costumed world's political landscape. She used her charisma and public appeal to keep the Minutemen in the spotlight, ensuring their legacy endured. While her motivations were often self-serving, her impact on the Watchmen universe was undeniable. Her story was not one of straightforward heroism, but of survival, resilience, and the unintended consequence of personal history shaping the future. The Silhouette. Ursula Zand, better known as the Silhouette, was the first female costumed vigilante and a founding member of the Minutemen. Unlike many heroes of her time, she was relentless in exposing society's darkest corners. Her debut came in 1939 when she uncovered a child pornography ring and delivered a brutal beating to the perpetrators, making headlines for her unflinching justice. This act of courage brought her to the Minutemen's attention, and she quickly became one of their most daring members. Silhouette was skilled in hand-to-hand combat and investigative work, relying on her agility and sharp instincts rather than brute strength. However, her tenure as a hero was cut short when she was publicly outed as a lesbian. Disgraced and expelled from the team, she and her lover were soon murdered in a hate crime, a fate reflecting the era's intolerance. While her legacy was largely erased by history, her role in the Minutemen proved that true heroism wasn't about public approval, but standing against injustice no matter the cost. Moth Man. Byron Lewis, known as Moth Man, was one of the original Minutemen, a man driven by his fascination with aviation and innovation. A brilliant inventor, he designed a specialized wingsuit that allowed him to glide through the air, making him one of the few costumed heroes with a functional means of flight. Despite his intelligence and technical prowess, Mothman's legacy was overshadowed by his tragic downfall. Unlike many of his peers, Byron was an idealist who genuinely sought to improve society. However, his progressive beliefs made him a target during the McCarthy era. When the Minutemen were called before the House Un-American Activities Committee, Byron was singled out, interrogated, and ostracized for his views. Unlike the comedian who thrived under government control, Mothman was broken by it. He descended into alcoholism and paranoia, eventually being institutionalized. While his physical abilities faded, his mind remained sharp, and he later played a crucial role in inspiring Reggie Long to become the new Rorschach. Mothman's story was one of the brilliance undone by a world that refused to accept his ideals, proving that even heroes were not immune to the weight of history. Captain Metropolis. Nelson Gardner, better known as Captain Metropolis, was the strategist and self-proclaimed leader of the Minutemen. A former Marine, he brought his military experience to the team, organizing their missions with tactical precision. Unlike many costumed heroes who fought solo, he believed in strength through numbers and sought to unite heroes under a common cause. His leadership was instrumental in the Minutemen's formation, but his vision ultimately proved flawed. Gardner was deeply conservative, clinging to an outdated belief that superheroes could enforce societal order rather than challenge it. His rigid worldview limited the Minutemen's impact, and when he attempted to form the Crime Busters years later, his efforts were dismissed. The world had moved on, but Captain Metropolis refused to change with it. His private life was equally complex. He maintained a secret relationship with Hooded Justice, one of the many aspects of himself he kept hidden from public scrutiny. In the end, his legacy was one of missed potential. He died in 1974 in a car crash, a fittingly abrupt end for a man who never adapted to the world he once sought to control. Hooded Justice. The first true masked vigilante, Hooded Justice was a terrifying presence in the early days of costume crime fighting. His identity remained a mystery even to his fellow Minutemen, though Hollis Mason speculated he was Rolf Muller, a German circus strongman. Whoever he was, Hooded Justice set the tone for what it meant to be a superhero, ruthless, brutal, and unwavering in his pursuit of justice. Unlike later heroes, Hooded Justice did not shy away from violence. He was known for his merciless beatdowns, often leaving criminals bloodied and broken. His imposing physique and combat skills made him one of the most feared vigilantes of his time. However, his motivations were suspect. Some accounts suggest that he was more driven by personal gratification than a genuine sense of justice. His costume, eerily reminiscent of a Ku Klux Klan robe, only added to the unsettling nature of his persona. In 1955, he vanished without a trace. Whether he was murdered, went into hiding, or simply abandoned his double life remains unknown. Over time, different interpretations of Hooded Justice's story emerged. Dollar Bill. William Bill Brady, better known as Dollar Bill, was the ultimate symbol of corporate-sponsored heroism. Unlike many of his Minutemen peers, Bill wasn't driven by a personal mission or a desire to fight crime. Instead, he was created by the National Bank as a marketing tool to boost their public image. Moving to New York City, he donned a colorful, garish costume, designed not for practicality but for marketability. As a condition of his sponsorship, Dollar Bill became a walking advertisement for the bank, a patriotic superhero whose primary purpose was to make his corporate backers look good. Despite his commercial origins, Bill was a genuine hero at heart. He embraced his role as a crime fighter, even if his persona was largely dictated by the bank's marketing team. Tragically, his devotion to duty led to his demise. In a cruel twist of fate, Dollar Bill was killed when his cape, an impractical accessory added purely for aesthetic purposes, got caught in a revolving door during a bank robbery. Unable to defend himself, he was shot by the robbers. In Watchmen, each character plays a pivotal role in deconstructing the traditional superhero archetype. Their stories highlight the flaws, complexities, and darker aspects of heroism in a world filled with moral ambiguity. The series not only redefined how superheroes were portrayed, but also left a lasting impact on the comic industry, influencing countless works that followed. And those were all the Watchmen superheroes explained. What are your thoughts? Which one's your favorite? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these deep dives and strange lore. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks.